Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. The LBMA admits to overstating silver holdings by 3,300 tons. Let's explore! You may have seen, but in case you haven't, there's been at least two channels that have covered this that I saw that I have not had a chance to watch yet. While I was at work, this news broke and came along the wires here, and this is my first time getting a chance to discuss this issue, which I think is quite interesting. A few members of the community posted in comments about this, and have not had a chance to really review those two videos yet. Check out Son of a Silver Stacker. He's posted a video about this, as well as Junius Maltby. Both of those channels I would encourage you to check out to get their views on this. I've not really had a chance to study it a whole lot. In fact, for that reason, I'm not going to insert a whole lot of opinion here, other than the fact that it is quite troubling that they would overstate it by 3,300 tons based off of an accounting error. Why didn't anybody catch that? And of course, I know what some of the answers for some of the community is going to be about it. Although I like to take a little bit more of a balanced approach, I can understand why you would question this. I'm questioning it too. So let's take a look at this here. The accounting error in the silver market made by the London Bullion Market Association comes at a difficult time for the precious metal, as investors are trying to gauge how much supply is actually in the marketplace. Hence why there has been this silver squeeze. And the silver squeeze sort of is a two-pronged approach, both prongs attempting to try to put pressure on the physical storage supplies of silver out there. And one of them is by getting the PSLV, buying the PSLV, which is the paper version of silver that is known by Sprott, who organizes that, who is the custodian of that paper ETF, that it is actually much more tied to the physical holdings of silver than the SLV. So that was one approach. The other approach is a physical approach of just buying as much physical as you can in mass, hence the squeeze, the physical silver squeeze. Well, the LBMA has basically overstated their holdings by 3,300 tons here. Tuesday, the LBMA confirmed it made a reporting error in the amount of physical silver held in the London vaults. According to the recent report, the LBMA overstated London vault silver holdings by 3,300 tons in March, when the market saw unprecedented demand for physical precious metal. A data submission error led to the publication of an incorrect aggregate figure for the total silver held in London vaults in March. The corrected figure is 1,143,194 troy ounces, the LBMA said in a statement. We're going to look at that statement here momentarily. It was previously reported that at the end of April 2021, there were 1,153,154 troy ounces of silver held in London vaults, representing a 0.9% increase in the previous month. So they are increasing the amount of silver that they had since the prior month. Bullion Star on Twitter commented, stating, in early April, LBMA claimed that total silver held in the LBMA London vaults had risen by a massive 11% during March, from 1.125 billion ounces, which is 34,996 tons, to 1.249 billion ounces, which is 38,859 tons. This, it turns out, was not true, as the real end of March figure was about 35,557 tons. Looking at the numbers in detail, 3,300 tons is 96,251,100 troy ounces, which is a pretty significant data submission error according to some analysts, with tens of thousands of tons of fractionally held gold and silver cleared every year in the London market. Transparency is vital. Chris Marcus, the founder of Arcadia Economics, had previously said that the U.S. Mint has been unable to meet physical demand. And that is something that really has nothing to do with this, in my view, because that is in relation to getting physical planchets or whatever to be able to strike products. It's not a silver shortage of the metal itself. It's of the fabricated products, such as planchets, that they are running short of to meet the physical demand. He states that often there's a lack of backing behind the sales of certain silver contracts. And it is a complex market, and I think there needs to probably be a little bit more transparency overall, not just with the LBMA, but in the whole figures altogether, because you have scrap that comes in, you've got other things going out, you have futures, you've got options, you've got all these different ways. It's incredibly complex. And of course, you have the numbers from the COMEX, which they say has increased. Well, are those numbers wrong too? I don't know. Kind of makes me question about the COMEX holdings too. But anyways, in regards to this latest incident, Marcus has tweeted, "I feel like I almost have to sleep on this one before commenting further." Understandable, and that's actually very good to digest this information. Did they basically just say that they didn't have 118 million ounces they claimed during the silver squeeze weekend? On a more cynical side, many traders and investors in the bullion markets have been talking about the silver squeeze. This has been caused by a brand of traders organizing through social media and piling into the silver-backed ETF SLV. In my view, for those who are doing it, at least on Wall Street Silver and others in the community, they're saying if you're going to buy ETFs, stay away from SLV, because we know there's definitely not enough of those to match the physical behind it. You want to get into PSLV, but I'm with those who are saying don't get any ETF at all. If you're going to buy silver, you might as well just buy the physical. Just get some bars, get some coins, get some rounds. That's really the best way to do it, because you hold it in your hand, you've got it, you know it's there, and to me that has a bigger impact, I think, than the PSLV. So anyways, it's very interesting to see how this is panning out here, and the aftermath of this is going to be very interesting. So here, this is the statement from the LBMA itself about this, and a data submission error led to the publication of an incorrect aggregate figure for the total silver held in the London vaults in March. And so they did make their correction. And some people will say, well, hey, it's too late. The silver squeeze was, the epitome of it was in March. Well, hey, the silver squeeze is not over yet, folks, in my view. Although I think that the fact that they have increased their holdings from March to the April, it may have subsided a bit. But it is interesting to see how much of this is playing out now in terms of the actual amount, 3,300 tons. Does that really have that much of an effect, considering the overall amount of silver that flows through the London markets? It's a big number for an accounting error. That's the key. It's a big number in accounting, but is it enough to have that much of an effect or difference? It obviously causes people to question the numbers from the LBMA and why the error occurred at that particular time during the midst of the silver squeeze. Now, with that being said, you have to keep in mind that I posted a video about this specific situation with LBMA, that LBMA is the only big organization that has essentially given credence to the silver squeeze movement. They said that they almost were cleaned out. So there's that side of it too that makes me question it all. And maybe they're working from two sets of numbers, ones that were published in one place, and this statement and this report from the LBMA maybe came out of a different office. I don't know. But that's something to take into account too, that the LBMA itself has recognized the silver squeeze and the great amount of buying based off of social media initiatives that we've been seeing out there. So that is quite interesting indeed to see that, and then this report come out where they have incorrectly shown this figure from the prior. So I don't know what to take of this. I think I'm with Chris Marcus on this, as it's a lot to digest, and people will most certainly be speculating and probably theorizing that there's some sort of conspiracy behind this. I want to be open-minded about it, but I'm not willing to necessarily go there. I think in the end, what has happened here is they've corrected the error, but the timing of it is interesting as to when the error occurred, and maybe they feel like, okay, they're out of the woods, so they could go ahead and make the correction now. Who knows what the motive was behind it? I'm not going to necessarily pass judgment on them one way or the other. One thing I do know for sure is the fundamentals, which I think it cannot be stated enough that no matter what you think and no matter what evidence that can be put forth about either manipulation, monkeying around with the data, you can come to a whole lot of different conclusions as to what the, quote, true value of silver is. Reasonable people can disagree about some of those things and about the motivations behind why some of these organizations do things, or if it was an actual error and a mistake on themselves and with unintended motives. In other words, it was not a malfeasance, it was a nonfeasance issue here. I don't know. But no matter what, the fundamentals of gold and silver especially are strong and remain strong. And I believe that look at gold and silver, especially compared to the platinum group metals today, as the recording of this video, both gold and silver are up. Now, gold did pull back a little bit, and it kind of has regained some of its losses here, but silver is up. It's the big winner of the day. It is up over a percentage point, up 35 cents, getting much closer to that $28 level. So what is that telling us? I don't know. I think that this is going to be something that to keep an eye on as we make a move closer to that $30 level, which I have been predicting since the almost the beginning of the year here. The gold to silver ratio has narrowed a bit more. It's down below 67 again. And so we'll see how it plays out. Nonetheless, the fundamentals of gold and silver are this, that they will protect your wealth in times of crisis, especially in times of crisis. They are volatile to a degree, but what is their overall purpose? Well, it's as a store of value and as money. Essentially, it's God's money. It's money recognized in the Constitution, both gold and silver. And I believe that those fundamentals are what keeps us all really united in this way, so that we know that this money that is going up in price now essentially will drive out the bad money. That's right. Fiat currencies eventually die. In one form, in one way or the other, they will eventually fall away. And now the dollar may die a very slow, long, grueling death, but I believe in time it probably will too. It's already been reset, rebranded essentially, and it's about to go through one of the biggest rebranding efforts ever very soon here. So take that into account as well too. I want to remind you to check out other videos on this topic. Like I said, I'm late in the game, but I did want to post my thoughts about this. But check out Son of a Silver Stacker and Junius Maltby. Both have done videos on this. I've not had a chance to watch those videos yet, but probably will here soon. I'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.